Welcome, everybody, to the Ethereum Protocol Fellowship cohort number 5 town hall. My name is Josh, and this is Mario, and we are the coordinators of the program. And today we are going to give you a quick overview of what the program looks like, who it's for, why you should be a part of it, and then offer some opportunities for y'all to ask some questions. Because we are doing this in more of a webinar sort of format today, feel free to post your questions in the comments there of YouTube, and we will answer them probably towards the end. But if something relevant comes up in the moment, we may answer it in the moment as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to say, Mario, before we get started here?
Thank you so much for joining us today. Anyone who is interested in the core development in our fellowship is welcomed. Please ask questions in the YouTube comments, and I think we can get into it.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll do this little presentation in a couple of stages, and Mario will take the first stage here. So go ahead, Mario.
Okay, thank you. Let's before we dive into the EPF itself, we should understand what is the core development and what does it mean to be a core developer. Let's maybe actually test our YouTube connection there. Who would you say is a core developer? What is a core developer to you folks? Do you hear some quick answer so we can see that we have people here actually writing, not just AI. Yeah. Um, and I'm asking because like it might have a bit different definition for various people, and I want to see what kind of ideas are people coming with to this program. Um, anything? Supervisor ultra dev. Yeah. um like this is one of the sentiments that people have, that these core developers are these super people who are all just crazy dedicated geniuses working on some very hard to digest technology. They're very rare, and there are these endangered species. But in EPF, we believe that this is not true. We believe that anybody can become a core developer with enough dedication and maybe a bit of a luck, the right talents. So the core developer is yes, I'm going to say again later. Okay, that's my favorite answer so far. Core developer is somebody who works on the core protocol, and somebody who helps to maintain that's important part, and also develop new features to extend the core protocol to incorporate some research, some new updates, and these are coming from the research area, from people who are doing less implementation work, more prototyping, more analysis, figuring stuff out. So somebody who maintains and upgrades the core protocol, pushes it to the future, but also makes sure that some previous technical debt fixes, some maybe security vulnerabilities and so on are resolved in the clients. And the core protocol, speaking technically about it, it's the actual Ethereum software. We have more than 10, 12 maybe implementations of the core protocol in both consensus and execution layer. If you're just coming to Ethereum, it might sound a bit more complicated. Like in Bitcoin, we just have the Bitcoin core, like one single client running the whole thing. In Ethereum, we split this to two clients, and each of them have like 5 or 6 implementations. So you have many various code bases that people contribute to, and plus the research, plus testing, plus some DevOps tasks around. So there's this core protocol. It's not really a small group of people. It's maybe hundreds of people at this point. I would say like at least 200 full-time people contributing to the various parts of the core protocol. there was a core developers, but most of the developers, when you ask like Ethereum developer, people would come up with this number, or with this Web3 on-chain developers, people who use the Solidity, who built the dApps, the on-chain apps running on Ethereum, right? And there is really thousands of these. This is one of the ways to track them. It's very active field. It's very well paid field, right? So there are many people interested in learning the Solidity and working on Ethereum, but this is a high level. That's the actual platform. This is a bit older number. More than 100 in the protocol guild. There's I believe 170 something people now. So let's round it up to like 200 core developers. So it's still just a small subset of the people who work on the top of Ethereum, and we have this few people, the core developers, maintaining the platform for all of these people above. So the core developers are working in some low level development. So in the contrast of like the high level languages like Solidity, they are actually using like Go, Rust, C, the fast low level system level languages, which are necessary to implement the clients. And what I mentioned before, these are people working on not just the clients themselves, the execution consensus, but also the research and testing and the tasks around it, like specs, for example. And these basically have to make sure that the whole Ethereum is secure. Like they provide security to all Ethereum users. And the very specific thing, the very interesting thing, and the thing that I love about the core development is that it's very open and cooperative. So like in traditional corporates and maybe even some on-chain projects, there's a certain competition, right? Like people developing the same kind of protocols or same kind of companies basically competing with each other. But here we have like 6 implementations of the same thing, and they are not competing, they're working together to make sure that it all works together well. So these people are more ethos driven. It's more of a non-profit environment. Some of these clients are developed by non-profits, some are developed by companies, but the people working on them are mostly people who believe the vision of the Ethereum, who are fascinated by the technical problems that they are solving, and believe that we can use this platform to somehow make the world a better place. I believe create some independent digital realm. Um, I don't want to speak for them, at least from my perspective. And but generally, it's very exciting to build this platform that allows all these cool things that happen on Ethereum. So what I said before, again, the core developers are building this highway, these roads that the cool cars can ride on. So the on-chain developers or the people building the different car companies can use the underlying platform. And the platform, the Ethereum itself, is still not really finished. It's not ossified. It's not 100% there. There are still many things that we want to solve in Ethereum because over the years of its existence, there have been many learnings, many things that we learned that we can improve. And Ethereum has this risk aversion principle where when we can do a change in the protocol, which comes with significant benefits, it's worth doing it. It's worth the risk of doing a hard fork, doing an upgrade. So there are many things which are maybe hard fork, maybe soft fork, maybe just like completely off-chain upgrade of Ethereum that are being worked on, optimizations, some scaling improvements, some database improvements, consensus changes, and so on and so on. So the roadmap is very exciting place full of many technical problems which can be worked on to make Ethereum better in tomorrow. And so to help people to get into this, to help people to overcome this big scary wall of technical complexity called the core protocol, we started to do this Ethereum Protocol Fellowship. This program actually started a few years ago. Then we renamed it to EPF, and for the past 2 years, we've been running it here with Josh. This will be the 5th cohort, and what we learned in the so our goal, and Josh will talk more about it, is more about this, but it's to guide people to the core development, but not really to teach you everything. It's not a It's not a study group. It's not a place where we would have classes. It's a place where you need to be able to figure out stuff but on your own, because that's how the core development works. The core developers have to be self-directed, have to be able to figure out the problems, figure out the projects to work on, um, and and to do this, you need to have some basic knowledge, some overview of the various problems, and understanding, holistic understanding of the protocol. So for this, we created this study group. My study group was running, it's already finished. It's been running from February to April this year. It was a 10-week program, but you didn't really miss it, because you can find all of its content, all of the resources from the study group, plus extra community resources that we created during that, are at EPF.wiki. So before the fellowship starts, we'll get to the dates later, but it was to be starting in a few weeks. And these weeks before we start, or even during the cohort, you can use the resources, the materials that we provided in the study group on the EPF.wiki to get yourself ready to study some interesting parts of the protocol that you might want to work on, and yeah, just grasp the ideas, because you will need that to be able to figure what projects to work on and how it all comes together and so on. Yeah. So yeah, do you want to talk about the details of the study group, Josh, or maybe we take some questions first?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of the details of the study group. So, as Mario mentioned, the study group was started to bridge the knowledge gap for people learning about the core protocol. The information around core protocol is widespread and not really located in one specific place, especially when it comes to learning about things like implementations and research and those different pieces of the L1. So the idea behind the study group was to create a centralized resource for all of these sorts of technical details when talking about the Ethereum L1. So, as Mario mentioned, it was a 10-week program, consisted of either 1 or 2 90-minute classes each week throughout each of those 10 weeks. And so the first half of it was one course per week, and then the second half was two, split into two different tracks, one a research focused track and one a development focused track. And again, the idea here was to create a collaborative knowledge base that is EPF.wiki, and the entire program is open and permissionless. So yeah, we covered a variety of different topics, all things that people who are interested in participating in the protocol fellowship should at least have some kind of um, idea about. So if you are interested in applying or participating, it is a good idea to check out the EPF.wiki. Yeah, and so that will take us to the protocol fellowship. Uh, the idea behind the fellowship is to make the process of becoming a core contributor easier. Uh, Brief history started by Piper Merriam, who runs the Portal Network, and he originally called it the Core Developer Apprentice Program. He ran 2 cohorts before Mario and I took it over. And the design around the program, the EPF program, is designed to mimic the experience that a core developer goes through when working on the protocol. So it's a very self-directed process. You're able to choose what you work on from either a list of suggested projects by mentors or by what you're interested in and feel excited about working on. You write technical updates to communicate your work to the EPF community as well as the larger Ethereum developer community, and then you have access to core developer mentors who can help unblock roadblocks for you or sort of point you in the right direction when you're feeling stuck on something. Coordination happens through 2 different places. One is the GitHub repository, where you can find at eth-protocol-fellows/cohort-5 this time. In the organization, ETH Protocol Fellows. You can see the past couple of cohorts, the projects that people worked on, examples of some of the developer updates that they submitted throughout the process, and just kind of how we go about organizing this particular program. In addition to that, we have a Discord channel in the Ethereum R&D Discord. It is the server that is utilized for anybody who is interested in discussing Ethereum protocol research and development. So that is sort of where a lot of the main discussion happens between fellows and between Mario and myself and the cohort. The program is a permissionless program, which means that anybody is open to participating, to joining the weekly calls, to presenting project proposals and getting feedback on these project proposals. And yeah, basically, we select a few stipended fellows at the beginning of the application process, but anybody is welcome to join. Some of the benefits that you might come by in the EPF. The biggest one is that you get a introduction to the developer community through the Ethereum R&D Discord. Through having the little tag on your name in that Discord server, it gives you a little bit more of a leg up when speaking to different core devs or different communities around projects that you're working on, or things that you might be trying to discuss with somebody. We do offer a semi-structured process. So while we don't tell you what to do or when to do it, we do offer a little bit of structure around it to help guide you through the process of what it's like to start making contributions to Ethereum. You get to work on what you're excited about working on. We don't tell you what your project is. No one is going to, push you in any certain direction. You get to choose what you get to work on because you're excited about doing so. Additionally, we've talked a bit about the mentorship here, but yes, you get to the little tag on your name in the Discord server allows for core developers to, respond a little bit more quickly to you when you're working on your project, asking for help and that sort of thing. We do offer a financial stipend so that you're able to focus your attention on the protocol fellowship, so you're not having to take different side jobs or things to help maintain your monthly expenses. And then finally, you get the experience of what it's like to make contributions to the protocol. So quickly looking at the fourth cohort, which ended in November of 2023, we had a bunch of applications and we did a bunch of interviews. We ended up accepting around 40 applicants, which is probably more than we will end up accepting this time around. We had a lot of people participating permissionlessly in the beginning, but a lot of them end up dropping out over the course of the first few weeks. But yeah, at the end of the day, we ended up having 32 different projects being worked on by by the different fellows that ended up completing the cohort with a bunch of different mentors. And you can see just a lot of different, lots of updates, lots of commits into the GitHub repository. Quickly, a list of the projects that you can see from the fourth cohort. We did recently put out a blog post on blog.ethereum.org going a little bit more in depth into the fourth cohort and some of these projects. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check out that blog post. Maybe you could throw a link there in the chat, Mario. Cool. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about how the fellowship program works. The fellowship for this cohort is going to consist of a 5-month program broken up into 3 different phases. We have first the onboarding phase, which happens for the first few weeks. This time is meant for you to meet the cohort, get to know the program and the different expectations that we might have, and to take a brief overview of the current problem set in the L1 and different sorts of areas in which you might be able to work. EPF.wiki is a great resource for this during the onboarding process. The second phase is meant for learning and project selection. So this is about a month where you deep dive into a specific topic that you're interested in working on and work on choosing a project. Once you have chosen a project, you'll write a project proposal and then solicit some feedback from both Mario and myself, the rest of the cohort, and a mentor or two who is versed in that particular realm of the protocol. And then the majority of the timeline is for the project execution. So working towards the goals of the project, getting feedback from mentors, talking about the different things that you've been working on in the weekly stand-ups, and then eventually creating a project report at the end of the cohort in which you will give a presentation to the rest of your fellows and mentors at DEF CON in Southeast Asia. So joining the EPF, we have the applications are open right now, and you can go ahead and submit an application. Things that we're looking for in applications, having strong written and verbal communication skills. It's important to be able to talk about and write about what you're working on. Being self-directed and self-motivated. As we've mentioned a number of times, the EPF is a self-directed program, so we want you to be able to kind of work on your own without having somebody sort of pushing you along to do the different things. The L1 is explicitly, pretty technical, so having some kind of technical foundation is pretty helpful. Being able to write code in one of the low-level languages or having the ability to learn those languages fairly quickly is something that we're interested in. And then also just having a passion for blockchain, for Ethereum, and for the things that this technology can facilitate. While we're looking through applications, we look for well-written answers to the different questions. We look for an active GitHub account that has, some semblance of contributions. Free open source software contributions are a plus. We look for, work with low level languages, and big signals are work like contributions to existing Ethereum projects currently. This would be small contributions to clients, things like that, less so different dApps and app layer projects. As I mentioned, applications opened already. They are open for another 6 days, I believe. The program will begin in June, I believe June 10th, and will run through mid-November, which we will host EPF Day at DEF CON in Bangkok. And let's see. I think that's probably all I've got for you today. Mario, anything else you want to mention before we start taking some questions here?
I think we covered all of it, and we can discuss some more when we dive into questions, because there are many of them coming already since before. We are going to. I cannot. It doesn't work for me to send a link to the chat. Like, Josh, if you can just send the links,
Cool.
that we mentioned. Just to reiterate, folks, like, please check out the recap from the previous cohort. The EPF4 recap on blog Ethereum.org is the same place where you can find applications. Before diving into the current cohort, like, you can study more in the EPF wiki. And to look into the questions, let me scroll all the way on the top, because they started pretty soon.
Cool.
Go ahead.
We'll start here. The first question, to apply for EPF, yes, you just need to complete the Google form. in that Google form, we ask for, it's a pretty short application, just looking to get a beat on your experience and your interest and what the areas you're interested in working on. Addition to that is that we ask for a short 5 minute or less or 1,000 words or less video or essay on a technical topic. Ideally, this is L1 core protocol related topic, but any sort of technical topic that you're well versed in is great. Things we're not necessarily looking for are pitches on your DApp projects, or explanation around how you created a new this or that on the app layer. We're looking for technical explanations around ideally core protocol topics. Question here: have we started sending replies to applications? We have not yet started sending replies to applications. That is probably something we will start doing later this week with those people who are interested in sending interviews to. We'll be doing interviews likely all of next week. So yeah, keep your eyes open for an email anytime basically between this coming Thursday and next Thursdays is likely.
Yeah, the applications are still opened. They are closing early next week, so we still need bunch. There's many of them coming, so we need time to review all of them. And yeah, we'll be in touch sooner or later. Yeah.
Next question is how many people are going to get accepted? We are probably looking to accept in between 20 and 25 people this time for this cohort, depending on, again, the quality of the application pool that we have. But again, the program is permissionless, so please, if you do not get accepted right off the bat, Mario and I certainly are not perfect in our application review process, and we invite you to sort of prove us wrong and start doing the work. We do reserve a bit of our budget for people who are doing good work in a permissionless manner to offer retrospective stipends or stipends for either joining us at DevCon or other sorts of conferences around the world. Question from John Hughes. Can I participate permissionlessly without submitting the application? Absolutely. Yep, not a problem. The biggest part about permissionless participation, we ask that you kind of follow along the process with us by either joining the weekly stand-ups, joining the office hours, and submitting the technical developer weekly development updates.
Yes, the because of the it's in the word permissionless, so like you don't need to submit anything. But again, like to let us know about you, to just if you submit this, we will have a better way to be in touch with our updates, or in case that you are awarded the stipend later, this will be easier for us if you submit the application. But yeah, feel free to just participate.
Cool. Next question is from Franklin, asking, the application needs me to already have a running research project, but I don't at the moment. The application does not require you to have a running research project. Maybe getting that mistaken with the request for some kind of technical experience, or like asking to submit a short essay or a video on anything technical. So just some kind of technical explanation. You do not need to already have a running research project, but we do ask that you also have some kind of idea of the area of the protocol that you want to be working on.
Yeah, it's good to have insight into the protocol. Again, just like catch up on the materials from the study group and things that you're interested in. I would just, if you can let us know in the comments, like what was the part that gave you the impression that you need to have some project already running, because yeah, that's really not necessary.
Yeah. Cool. Starting date is going to be June 10th, I believe. So we'll host our first kickoff on June 10th. This question around contributions: instead of GitHub, will contributions on Dune be considered? We'll consider most anything. It doesn't necessarily mean like it will be a yes per se, but whatever sort of contributions that you already have, please submit them so that we just have an idea of like what your experience is, what you've been working on in the past. Yeah, as much as you can kind of give us to have an idea of what you're working on without spamming a bunch of buzzwords and that sort of thing is best. Let's see. Question from Waz: is it better to have a concrete idea to work on before applying, or is it okay to apply without anything in mind? I would say that it is okay to not have a concrete idea of what you want to work on. But that being said, it is best to have an idea of the area that you want to work on. So, you know, something a little bit more specific than I want to work on the core protocol or I want to work on the execution layer, right? Like something a little bit more specific than that, but you don't have to have like a super specific project in mind. That is what the like first couple phases of the EPF are about learning about these different problem sets, getting to know maybe the suggestions from the mentors, and just getting to know what would be a valuable contribution to make. That is what those first couple phases are about. Next question: is coding really necessary? Mario, you want to take that one?
Um, so mostly yes. So the quick question would be yes. You need to have some skills in uh, with coding, but coding doesn't necessarily need to have to mean software architecture. You need to be like a skilled software architect with some level language. There are other things that you can do which are not directly contributing to some complicated software. It can be some analysis, some research, some prototyping, which requires, I don't know, some Python skills maybe, right? Some data analysis in Python kind of thing, which is not really like software architecture, but you need some technical skills. There was a Dune like SQL kind of stuff, right? So it doesn't have to be some, I believe that the most successful candidates will have some developer skills in low-level languages, but there is a place where people with like DevOps skills, with this research kind of stuff, analysis can also apply their skills for sure. Yeah, some Python, some Bash, some of these more high level stuff which can help you to analyze. If you find a suitable project, it can definitely work. But it's a technical fellowship. It's about researchers and developers, so you need to count with some at least some coding skills necessary. Yeah.
Thanks. Next question: is the EPF open to builders who want to develop a software as a service for profit? Is there any issues or project requests within the EPF that could be addressed with such a product? I would say pretty hard no on this. We're looking for people who want to make contributions to the core Ethereum protocol. That is likely not going to include something like a SaaS. Making contributions to the current Ethereum clients, building new Ethereum clients that are open source. Yeah, in fact, all of the work that is done during the EPF is required to be open source code base. So yeah, pretty hard
Yep.
no for here. Mario, any other?
Yeah, just to reiterate, maybe we didn't mention it properly before, like all the work in Ethereum Protocol Fellowship, but also like in Ethereum general, needs to be free and open software. So if you're going to fork or start your own project with an EPF, so not contributing to existing infrastructure, but just starting on your own, if you want to be part of the study group, and especially if you want to receive the stipend, it needs to be licensed as a free software, GPL, MIT kind of thing, right? I believe like there are ways to like start business of with open source software later on. I'm not sure like if SaaS is a good example because it's mostly proprietary solutions, but yeah, like as the EPF itself, like it's the core Ethereum infrastructure and fully open, so it's pretty hard no on building some specific product. Yeah.
Cool. Next question: if somebody does not make it in the initial selection, is there a way of outside contributions so they can eventually be included in the cohort? 100%. That is sort of the concept behind this program being a permissionless program. And as mentioned before, Mario and I are not perfect in our application filtering process. So we encourage anybody who is excited about making core contributions to join the program throughout, throughout the cohort. And for those making super valuable contributions, we tend to reward those things. Um, Yeah, out of 600 applications, how do you guys filter? I feel like we went through that kind of explicitly in the presentation, but we look for things like, you know, open source software contributions, knowledgeable in technical uh, areas, having some experience with Ethereum. Um, yeah, those are sorts of the things that we're looking for. Um, Is there a separate quota for research and developer intakes? This is the EPF is a little bit higher focused on developers and implementers. In the past, we have done around a 1/3 researcher, 2/3 developer sort of split ratio of people that we tend to accept. But I think the line is pretty blurry in terms of like what it looks like to be a researcher and what it looks like to be a developer. Um, some of past cohort members have started out working on research projects and then developed a proof of concept that was very useful. So it's kind of blurry, but I would say that's sort of the ratio that we tend to look at. I don't know. Yeah, is any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, it kind of we try to reflect the actual protocol needs, the actual client team needs. So there is 15 teams of developers and 3 teams of researchers. So if we have 10, 20% of the core doing the research, we don't really need more than that within the cohort. Or it should reflect the actual distribution in the protocol. I believe it will be harder to get a position as a researcher when there is not so many research teams. But yeah, also again, it's fully permissionless. Feel free to come. We are not going to limit you or deny you of working with us just because you want to do on a research project or anything like that. It's very much welcomed, and there is a lot of research to be done, as for sure.
Cool. Next question. How does one continue to provide valuable research through the permissionless path? Uh, yeah, I, again, feel like we've kind of touched base on this a little bit, but basically following along with the program, submitting developer updates on a weekly or biweekly basis, joining in the stand-ups, talking about the work that you're working on, and just generally kind of keeping up with the program as if you were a selected participant. What do most fellows do after the program? This is a good question. We have a a number of different things that people do. Our goal for this program is to get people hired by client teams. That's sort of like the end goal for us, and the reason that we have the EPF. To sort of shorten this pipeline in between individual contributors to people who are working directly for client teams and or research teams or something very closely adjacent to that. Um, we tend to have about a 1/3 ish like hiring rate for people coming out of the program to be hired by client teams, and then after that another probably less than a third getting longer term grants or other sorts of funding to continue working on core protocol projects. One of the things that Mario and I are really focused on this cohort is to tailor the people applying and the skills to what client teams are actually looking for over the next year. So we are doing our best to try to tailor this cohort to the needs of client teams and getting the basically the best rate of hiring after the program that we can for both client teams and for fellows. Does
Just
contributing to
elaborating a bit
clients?
quickly.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
like we cannot. Yeah, sorry, I have a delay there. Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate a bit that like we cannot guarantee any sort of position after the fellowship. It's up to you guys building your skills and relationships with the teams that you work with, and if they find you valuable and if they have the space to hire, you can get eventually hired. But again, it really depends on like the individual situation, because even that's kind of said, but even for people who do a great job, there might be no position open, there might be no budget in those various teams to hire them. But it might happen eventually. So what Josh mentioned, that maybe like 30% of people get hired to some sort of client team, research team. It might take a year after the cohort for them to get into the position. Actually, it can maybe a few months after the cohort. For others, there are some grants and also stuff like community funding, Gitcoin grant. There are projects which people started by themselves as their individual project, and they've been publicly good funded in Gitcoin. They received grants from some organizations. So there are various ways, but generally, like your skills and your experience is so much higher that so much that it's easier to hire you in general. So even if you don't, if you don't count on getting hired immediately after the cohort, like it will be much easier in coming months, years. Yeah.
Yeah. And that also being said, we do have a good portion of uh, past fellows who get hired by other companies or organizations that aren't necessarily core protocol related. So um, having the EPF on your quote on your resume is a good sign for most any like technical blockchain position. Next question: does contributing to clients give an edge in applications? If you're making valuable contributions, I would say, yeah, it's definitely an edge in your application. It will make us look a little bit longer at your application, um, but also, uh, yeah, yeah, I don't know. That's sort of what I would say about that, Mario.
Yeah, like it's definitely sorry, I have a delay there. Yeah, like it definitely gives you a benefit if you have some sort of contributions, but it all depends. Like, maybe you just fix typos, maybe some very very easy just easy PRs, and on the other hand, we have applications from somebody who uh did not contribute to an Ethereum client, but some other software where he demonstrates very good skills, and we have to favor that person because it demonstrates its skills better. So it all depends, but generally, yes, like working on existing client teams or clients, that's it's really great.
Cool. Let's see. For somebody that does not have contributions to core protocols or GitHub repos, wasn't in study group, however, has the time and intent to learn and contribute to Ethereum, what are the chances of being selected in the program? It really is going to depend on your skill level and what you're interested in working on. The EPF is not really like the place to learn like sort of either basic coding skills or basic programming infrastructure stuff. It is more getting people up to speed with Ethereum itself. Um, so if you're looking for sort of if you're just like in the beginning of your journey, I would recommend participating in the study group, learning all of those sorts of things, maybe doing some free computer science like lessons or degrees online or that kind of thing. It's not really the place for somebody starting at zero, right? So looking for people who already have some kind of technical background, who are need some assistance getting through the door of Ethereum protocol development.
Yeah, but I would just add, if you don't have these things public, or like, again, like maybe you have some skills, maybe you have some knowledge, but you need to ramp it up. You don't have the way to prove us that you have these skills. We cannot accept you for the stipend, but you can still permissionlessly participate, and there were people permissionless because we couldn't pick them in the beginning, who managed to learn Rust from scratch, like without any programming skills, and now they work on their own pretty successful Rust project. So I can totally see that you are a talented person who can learn many things in a few weeks and dive fast into it. Like it's totally doable. But yeah, what Josh said, like if you are very junior, if you are just starting in this area, like it will take you some skills, some general understanding of the computer science fields and Ethereum domains. Yeah.
Cool. Next question. Could a project be like focusing on building technical improvements for the core developer experience? Or is it 100% fixing technical debt or optimizing something or picking up things from the roadmap? There's a lot of different fields of a lot of different projects that you can work on. I would encourage you to look at some of the past cohorts and the projects that they worked on to sort of get an idea of the things that people tend to work on. It's definitely not all fixing technical debt. Some of it is working on different client repos and fixing some of the issues that they may have in their repositories. But generally, yeah, the projects like run a whole big range of things.
Yeah, I'm not super sure what do you mean by the improving the core developer experience. Like we have a pretty good experience already as a core devs, but I guess like what you might mean and what is super important is testing tooling, making it easier to generate tests, to contribute to the existing testing tooling, the PySpec, the PySpec tests, the Hive, and the DevOps tooling. There is a lot of for like prototyping. There are many tools for running testnets, for running shadow forks and stuff like this. You can learn about this in the study group and the week with Pari, with the week with Mario there. So there are there are some of these like core developer tools which you can contribute to as well, and we count it as a part of the project. Part of the core protocol as well. Like it's not just the clients themselves, and yeah, also definitely can look into that.
Next question is a project that aims for delivering mm, consistent specs or adding an EIP considered research or implementation. Uh, I'm not sure I quite understand this, but I think both those two things are like kind of different things. Like delivering consistent specs, I would say, is probably more development implementation, whereas adding an EIP is probably more on the research side of things. Um, yeah, I don't know, Mario, you got any more insight into this?
Yeah, like there is not always super clear distinction. Like some things are about this prototyping, it's actually implementation work. It's about like figuring how the stuff can work when we have some proposed EIP, and we still do a research to find out whether it's feasible, what are the benchmarking it and whatnot. It requires implementing it somehow, and it's this intersection of research and development. But like specifically what you're asking, like it depends. Like yeah, if there is like some EIP which is being implemented right now, like right now people are working on Pectra hard fork, and EIPs which are included there are being implemented in clients. So if you implement EIP within the client or help with this implementation process that's happening right now, that's more of a development. It's totally development work because it's all already figured out. If there is some very fresh proposed EIP which doesn't have any benchmarks, any analysis, then you do that by implementing it somewhere in specs in clients. That's it's more of a research work, I would say. But yeah, we don't need to have clear distinction between these. Like we don't tag the project saying this research is development. We just like uh, in general consider like these are a bit two different things, but we don't like distinguish it within EPF much or anything like that. Like we have the same place for all of you guys. We had a different tracks in the study group, but in EPF there are no tracks like this or anything like that.
Is there an expected time commitment? The application has a range. There, we don't have an expected time commitment. We know that everybody has their own sort of way of working, and that being said, we do think that to be successful, you probably need to spend at least 20 hours a week on EPF. So no specific expectation, but yeah, no, probably no less than 20 hours a week unless you are very quick to work but yeah. Uh, will there be a list of potential topics to choose from for the participants? Say topics that fit into the 1 or X year dev roadmap for Ethereum. We are in the process of gathering projects proposals from this year's list of mentors. So there will be a list of projects to choose from by the time the program starts. But again, these projects are not like the only things that can be done. We encourage you to sort of look into the protocol itself and the current places where work is being done and choose something that you are excited about working on. Um, but yes, there will be a list of proposed projects coming in the next week or so. Let's see. Yeah. Overall, there's a bunch of questions about should I include this in my application. Generally, like in your application, you should put anything in there that you think might help to get us to know you better and get us to know your skill level, your technical experience, your desire, the interests in the areas that you want to work on, all of these different sorts of things. So non-merge PRs are certainly okay to include. Um, Doing some kind of course that you did a few years ago, also great to include if it is relevant to the topic that you're interested in, or if it's giving you giving us some insight into what your experience is like. Um, but yeah, there's no hard and fast rule around what the application should include. It's really an opportunity for us to get to know you better. I would say uh, for us, the biggest thing that I probably look at when I'm looking at applications is what does your technical explanation look like? What does your explanatory video look like? What topic does it go into? How deep are you diving into that topic? Um, those are the sorts of things that I personally am looking at when I'm looking at applications. Uh, yeah, can a blog I wrote on ZK count for my application? Uh, Certainly, feel free to put it in there. Yeah, uh, it's less again about does this count for something, and more like give us the best like representation of what your experience and what your skill level is like, right? So um, yeah, the application is there for us to get to know you and your experience. I think that we have got through all of the questions here in the YouTube comments. If you guys, we got about 6 more minutes left here. If you have any further questions or comments, we're happy to answer them over the next few minutes here. Otherwise, uh, yeah, we look forward to seeing your applications. We will be pulling the application early next week, likely on Monday. So you got about a week to continue to get your applications in. Again, the application is not very extensive. It's a pretty short application. Uh, the biggest time consumer will likely be this technical explanation that we're looking for. And again, this is just sort of wanting to get to know what your level of technical expertise is.
And
Uh,
I wanted to add I want to add that you can, yeah, please submit the application, but feel free to also share it with your friends, with colleagues, with people who are interested in the core development, or maybe somebody who would you like to work with. We had some of the best experience of follows from people who joined with their friends and end up working together on a project. It's a great way to work on something because you can bounce the ideas of each other. You don't need so much mentoring and whatnot. So. So yeah, please feel free to share this to anybody relevant who should know about this, and also who you like to work with. Yeah, there is a question here about yeah, if you're working on something about hackathon, for sure. Like if you're working on some relevant topics, obviously something technical, yeah, feel free to explain it in your video. And again, like we're looking for a technical dive, technical explanation. Like the best thing we can see is like code or charts, some schematics, not really like high level thing like, oh, ZK lets you prove something without knowing what you're proving, and like, not explain me like I'm five, but explain me like I'm an engineer. That's the idea there. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, please do apply. Please do share it. We want to hear from you. And if again, like if you don't get a step in the beginning, please, like, don't let it make you feel better or anything. Just come and work. Join us. Like everyone is welcome. Yeah, and if you missed something in your application, if you want to improve on it, yeah, feel free to submit it again, and let us know that you are the same person submitting. Yeah.
Cool. Any final questions or comments here? Awesome. Well, thanks again so much for joining us today for this town hall. We look forward to seeing your applications and for an amazing cohort this year. And, if you're a panda, you should tell us.
Yeah, looking forward to see you guys in a few weeks at the actual opening of the EPF cohort. Yeah, so looking forward to that. Yeah, we already had a few pandas there, so yeah, we hope we'll get some more talented folks. Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.